Welcome to our all guilds meeting. Thing numero uno is I can't run all three guilds by myself. As Lena so pointed out, that should definitely be on my list of things to talk about. Excuse me while I give my cat a treat so he stops trying to eat my garb.
Eating garb?
Oh, I have little dangly bits on the end of my master's thing that my cats try to eat if I'm not paying attention to them. So, give treat, go away, leave me alone. So I open my dinner. Yeah, Leda so very eloquently pointed out that I can't be in charge of all three guilds because that's not fair to me, and I don't have time. It didn't even make my list of things to talk about today, so clearly we all know where my brain sits. So we have three guilds. Right now, I am the chairperson for all three. And it's just not working, mainly because this Artificers Guild is a lot bigger than the other three and takes up an awful lot of time, or the other two, and so I don't get to pay attention to my own apprentices, or my own work for working towards my Master Chroniclers thing. So if anyone is willing to step up and check emails and assign apprentices to mentors or masters for either the Artificers Guild or the Chroniclers Guild, can you send me a Facebook message so I don't lose that information? I'm completely fine continuing to run the Seneschal's Guild. That's fine with me. I just need help.
Tips.
Okay. And then, so yeah, just send me a Facebook message, Anya, and then we can figure out where to go from there. And you wanted to do the Chroniclers one, right?
That would be awesome, but honestly, any of the three is fine. I'm glad to help do things.
And I know I'm just an apprentice for Chroniclers, but if you need any help, you can always ask. I have time to do stuff.
We don't really have any Master Chroniclers right now, so it don't matter.
Yeah. That's been the struggle for me through this journey.
I actually have a current list for the Artificers Guild.
Cool. Master Sven, you just sent me a Facebook message. Did you want to do it?
I mean, Sita and I are kind of both we'll do it if nobody else is doing it.
Well, I mean, that was my understanding.
Also granting that you volunteered to do it temporarily, so we're trying to relieve you of that.
Yeah, I don't want to do this forever.
Yeah.
Also, sorry, I have to eat dinner while I do this because I have a class directly after this. So, I mean, I don't want anyone to overload themselves because I know what that's like and it sucks. But if somebody is willing, I mean, if Elena, if you have all of that information and you want to do that, I'm down for that, but I also don't want you to overwhelm yourself while you are trying to finish your own apprenticeship.
Basically, I am kind of at a stalemate. I'm waiting on my project people to send me their materials so that I can do said project. So my portfolio for my masterhood is essentially done to the point until I get those projects underway.
Okay.
So I'm pretty much in limbo at the moment.
No. Sorry.
And I did the whole spreadsheet thing in an afternoon because I fixated on that, and I felt like I had to do it. So
Yeah, I still haven't uploaded those things that you've sent me because I haven't had time.
Yeah.
So if you would like to do the Artificers one and Anya would like to do the Chroniclers one, we can set aside a time. I can transfer all the emails and make sure you guys are in charge of the right Facebook groups. And that would make life a little bit easier, so we could approach this as a team instead of as one human trying to do all of the things.
yeah. Well,
And then, go ahead.
I'm wondering if we should have some sort of librarian where that is their only job, is to update the library on the wiki.
I think that falls into very much what Crash enjoys doing.
Yeah, I created the video library, and if you guys want me to start doing the stuff on the Get In library, I can start doing that too.
Up until very recently, I've been the one to upload all of the stuff to the Get In. But if you would like to take on position of guild librarian and handle the uploading of things,
Yeah.
then we can create an email, or you probably already have an email for the guild YouTube.
Yes,
right?
I have the Bell. I've sent it to you as the Bell Guild
Yeah.
channel.
Yeah, you have. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean I know where I put it, dear.
Yeah, I can resend it so you have it.
No, what we can do is you can take that email address that you used for the YouTube channel and then put it on the guild library page so people can email you things they want uploaded.
All right.
And then I will send you the 3 guild emails, and you can send an email to those emails so we have each other. And then when we have things that we want to upload to YouTube or whatever, we can do that easier than we can right now. So that way we can just all upload things to the Google Drive, and you can just take from the Google Drive and put things where they need to go.
Yeah, that I can definitely do that.
Woo! Organizational structure.
And as a kobold, I also like it's a new title, librarian.
Right, you are a kobold. So in that case, Elena, if you want to send Crash all of the things that you sent me that need to go up into the library, that way he can do that. I don't know where that message went. I can't remember if that was a Facebook message or an email, to be completely honest.
I will have to locate those things as well because I don't remember.
Hello, Master Cersita.
Hello, Zita.
We
Welcome.
have delineated that I'm no longer in charge of everything. That was thing number 1 we talked about today, which didn't even make my list of things till somebody was like, Antoinette, it needs to make your list of things. Thing number 2. We are really bad at communicating, and this is, I think, probably less an all guilds thing and more a guild council discussion, and most of them aren't here. But it's not just one guild over the other. We are all very bad at making sure things happen. So I do believe there was a suggestion somewhere at some point that we have 1 or 2 months a year where that's when everyone who is done submits their done things, and we vote on them. And that's when everyone who wants to submit a master's application submits a master's application, and we vote on them. So that way people don't have to pay attention to their corresponding guild council pages all of the time. Works fairly decently for Belagarth as a whole. Yeah, that might work. And I'm not the secretary of Belagarth, so voting periods aren't super busy for me. So I think if we parallel the 4, do we want to parallel 4 voting periods or just 2? I guess is the question. If we did 4, we have a lot of people who are war council reps, and that's going to be a lot on them in those times. But if we just did 2, we could do one we could. It just depends on how we focus it. Cat, stop. Go ahead, Sita. No one's really muted.
Hey there. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, I would recommend 4 just personally, and obviously this is something that the council can take a vote on, but 4 would be my recommendation because, in my opinion, if you volunteered to be a master and therefore council member, asking for your attention 4 times out of a whole year is not too much responsibility for what you volunteered for. So, and if you can't juggle all of that, then, perhaps if you honestly can't give 4 moments of your attention in a whole year, perhaps you need to reevaluate how much you have on your plate. And that's not a criticism of anybody. We all have a lot on our plates, especially those who like consistently volunteer for things. But yeah, taking it down to just 2 per year means a lot of people are going to be waiting for a long time to be able to put in portfolios, and I think it's going to slow progress even more than it already is. But that's just my own personal opinion.
Okay. Elena?
Well, the 4 voting periods would also give us the opportunity to deal with business that needs to be done. For example, like if someone applies to even just be an apprentice, that way we can get business done and be like, okay, which master is available, and get those things done during the voting period so that we have those 4 set times for guild business.
Sven?
I am not of the opinion that we have so much business to take care of that we need to prioritize when we do it. Even in the Artificer Guild, which is busier than the other ones, we don't have that much stuff to do, and I don't think that limiting ourselves to voting periods would solve the problems that we're experiencing.
Okay. Leta?
There is definitely a part of me that agrees with Sven that I don't know that we have enough that voting periods fixes it. I would like to think it would, because it'd be like, hey guys, this is the time when you need to pay attention and respond to stuff. But then if it doesn't, we'd have to be like, well, that wasn't the problem, so what was the problem? There's a part of me that really does like the aspect of a voting period, because it's like, all right, I need to focus on this thing now and make sure I'm being really attentive to it, rather than just kind of getting around to it when I have time, which I think might be some of the things that happen with why it takes masters so long to respond to voting on something, because they look at it and they go, oh, I'll do that when I have time. And when you have time, never comes around. I also like the idea of having 4 voting periods, and if we ever get to the point where we have a lot of stuff, like Alina was saying, we could delegate, maybe 2 of the 4 voting periods are specifically focused on assigning mentors to our apprentices. And when someone applies to be an apprentice, there's an automatic reply that's like, thank you so much for your application. We will be assigning mentors during this month. Please be on the lookout for a respond around then. That way they know, oh, they received it and they'll be getting around to me. And same thing I would say with someone submitting a masterhood, that they can submit it at any time, but there'd be an automated reply saying, we have received your submission and we will be voting on it during this time period. Please look forward to our response. It does slow down progress, which is a problem in a way, because we've talked a lot about we need more mentors to be able to continue growing the guilds. And that's about all my thoughts.
Sita?
I agree with what Leda said. Well, I agree with both Sven and Leda. I think that everybody's making valid points. I agree with Sven that we don't have so much business necessarily as a council that we can't deal with stuff as it comes up. However, I think it's about getting people with their like having time on their calendar. Like if they know, okay, voting period's coming up, I need to make sure that I make some time for this to happen versus having to find time in a busy schedule as things roll in unexpectedly. Which I assume is probably part of the reason why, War Council and the way we vote for Belagarth for BMCS is as a whole is set up the way it is. It just allows people to have off time to deal with or focus on other things. What was the other thing I was going to say? Saleda made a point about slowing down progress, potentially that it could slow down progress. I don't disagree in theory, but also right now our progress is 0. So hopefully, if this is something that works, and if it doesn't work, what's the worst that happens? We're in the same position we already are, and we've tried something new and we move on to the next idea. If it gets us any progress, that's a net gain. So, because we've had people that have submitted portfolios even just recently, our 2 or 3 most recent submissions for Alina says they've been waiting for months. And I think only one of them we actually have a majority vote on, which is quite unfortunate. I personally am about trying something, anything, and if it works, great, and if it doesn't, then we move on to the next thing, which we can discuss as it comes up. I have several ideas, and I'm sure everybody else has a few ideas that they can toss out as well.
Yeah, it was the problem was the quorum, right? It's not that we had so many upvotes and so many downvotes. We didn't have enough votes of any kind to pass either way.
Right. And that's something that we can address as well, because I know with War Council, when and Antoinette, you can correct me if I get any of the details incorrect, but when the secretary posts, like, everybody is considered in quorum if they have been I think everybody's considered in quorum during the voting period, and if it's a vote outside of a voting period, if the secretary has messaged at the representative's preferred contact at least 2 weeks in advance, they're considered in quorum, and not having a vote, not submitting a vote, counts as abstention. Is that correct, Antoinette?
Yes and no. So in any voting period, so long as the secretary or the chairperson of the War Council, which is our vice president, reaches out to a realm's preferred method of contact, most of which is Facebook at this point in time. They're considered to be present, and if they don't respond, they're considered to have abstained.
Right.
So we could do something like that. We'd have to write it up. We could probably just take the wording straight from the bylaws the way they are. And I mean, that could work. In some cases, I mean, people just don't log into their Facebooks to check things.
Right.
But Crash, you had your hand up, and then I think we're going to need to move on to the next topic.
Yeah, I like the idea of the automated message, because we could possibly be seeing a large influx of new people interested in guilds. Now that it's, with all the DAG fighters coming over, it's new to them. So we might be seeing a lot more people interested and reaching out about, hey, I've been doing this for years in DAG. Here's my portfolio to try to jump straight to master. Because we've been seeing people in Bell doing stuff for years, but we haven't always been seeing the people that were DAG doing the same things.
Awesome segue to our next topic in dealing with DAG fighters coming over who are now Bellegrim. So we've had 2, if not 3, straight to mastership applications. And we haven't really come up with what we need to do. So I think one of the things was, so when I applied for mastership status as an artificer, because I didn't teach a lot of classes and there wasn't a lot of things going on with like my crafting side of things, they put me to journeyman, but never gave me a mentor, and just said, when you have fulfilled these things, like teaching more and making more of my items, because mine's applique beadwork, specifically for Belagarth, reapply. So they gave me some things to do, but I never got a mentor. And so I think that might be a possibility, because we don't want to not accept them, but we also need to make sure that they understand that there needs to be some time put in Belagarth, to like teaching and getting to be part of the community. And that was where the conversation stalled. And I don't think we ever decided if we wanted to assign them a mentor or just assign them to the guild with a list of things that they need to do and then reapply when they're done those things. So we need to figure out how we want to deal with that. And Sita.
Hey, okay. So one thing, just to bring everybody who's not in the Artificer Guild up to speed, we actually had this discussion a bit on the Artificer Council page as well. And our charter actually does account for folks who are applying straight to masterhood, who have spent their time in another organization. I can pull up the exact wording here in just a moment, but I believe it's something like must have spent X number of years in Belagarth or a comparable organization. If all of the time is in an organization outside of Belagarth, then one, I believe it was, must spend like 1 year as a journeyman. And then can reapply as a master after that, basically a probationary year. One of the things, as Antoinette pointed out, we were discussing that there was some feedback, but I'm not sure that we actually came to a consensus. Again, quorum issues. Was whether to just give them a list or whether to assign them to a mentor. And I think some of the points that were made were, well, if they haven't spent a lot of time in Belagarth, then perhaps a mentor would be the best way to go to help them get connected in a social network and get them acclimated to our community. And then, the counterpoint was also, well, if these people are at master level already, and the only hold up is that they haven't spent time in Belagarth, do they really need a mentor? And are we taking away valuable mentor attention, which is already scarce, from somebody who doesn't necessarily need it? So I think that there are a couple of different ways that we can approach that. Maybe some combination of, like, maybe they don't need a direct mentor. We can give them a list, but we get them added to the council page, and the current council and mentors just really like are accessible to this person who's applied. I don't know. That's something that we're still kind of discussing, or was tabled. Discussion that was tabled. That is all.
Elena.
Well, I just had a thought that journeymen can accept a vassal underneath them, and I'm wondering if, say, if we didn't want to take away our master and mentor's attention, if like they're spread too thin, maybe this can be put on, like, if a journeyman feels comfortable with it, be like, we're kind of a mentor-ish, but we can still guide them and encourage them, and so that we can spread the work out a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Am I being coherent?
You are being coherent, and
Yeah.
I think I may have a thought similar to what you're thinking. So, like, secretary of the council can be the person who manages voting, checks the emails, and reminds people to log on and cast votes and read applications. And then we could do like something like a moderator or a facilitator, which could be the same person or it could be a different person, who could be like the preliminary question guy for like, hey, person A has a question about this particular aspect of their application or whatever, or maybe they have come from DAG. If we don't manage to get them a specific mentor, we could have something vague and general, but official. So somebody who's on the outside, who's not on the council, has a question about Masterhood or the guild or whatever, could be the go-to question person. That could be the same person or it could be a different person. My camera was off.
Sita, go ahead.
Yeah, so I already kind of typed it in chat, but responding back to Alina's idea, I think that that's not a bad idea, but I think that having a journeyman who is potentially less experienced than the person applying might put them in a rough situation in terms of, being in the position of a mentor, mentoring somebody who potentially has more experience than they do. I think that, and having them as an ambassador might be an idea. And then, I had another thing. I don't remember what it was. I'll come back to me after. I think somebody else maybe had their hand raised.
No other hand raised, but so I think that we definitely need to come up with some way to make sure people are getting responded to in a timely fashion, because that is not happening. And that is partially my fault because I am doing too many things. And so having more people to do that is a good thing. And then I think that because those bylaws are going to be the same in all of the guilds, because Ellie and I wrote them that way, we should be able to make that announcement, and then that way we can send those portfolios that were handed in that they need to spend a year here in Bell, teach some classes, get to know their community now, and then reapply in a year. So we can send those statements away, and we can prepare a kind of like blanket statement for when somebody who just came over applies. We also need to think about a way to make voting go better, whether that's voting periods or if you get told there's a vote and you don't respond in X number of days, you're considered to have abstained, and we're going to count you as an abstention. Those will have to be brought back to the guild councils and discussed. We should probably have a guild council meeting for all of the guilds, and then go from there. We're probably going to have another guild meeting soon-ish, but that is also a difficult thing, getting everyone together at the same time. The only other topic we probably had for discussion, the only other thing I was thinking about is how we want to go ahead and like PR the guilds to our new people. Do we want to create something that we can share with all of the new realms? Do we want to create like a YouTube video and put it up on the guild channel that Crash runs and send that to all of the new groups of people? So we kind of have to think about how we want to do that. And I mean, it might be different for every guild, but that's something we kind of need to think about. So if you guys want to put on your like guild thinking caps and come back to that with like come back to me or somebody with some ideas, and we can then talk about that and figure out what we want to do. That was my last topic of discussion for the day. So we can discuss that, and then if anyone has anything else, go ahead, Crash.
So I had actually had the idea to do a little commercial thing. I was thinking we could do a master from each guild or representative doing a little like 2-3 minute quick explanation of what it means. And then we could, in that, edit in pictures of, so like for artificers, things that people have made. You know, Seneschal, we show like pictures of events because that's like what they do. Chroniclers have to figure it out because it's more like ideas. But like just quick little commercials that we could put all together in one big one or for each one.
I really like that. Sven.
I love the goal of having more people. More is better. More is good. I would be a little concerned about a large influx of people due to our current state of having shit together.
Right.
Or
So
less.
my thought wasn't like, here, apply to be an apprentice. It was more like, hey, these things exist. Which DAG doesn't have similar structures.
Mm-hmm.
So they may not know they exist. Even though in my like, here's your list of intro things to Realms when they came over, all of the guild Facebooks were linked in that. But it was more like, hey, the guilds exist. And I mean, we have veteran Bellegrim who don't know who we are. So like, it was just a thought about like what we could do. And I didn't think we were going to come up with like the definite plan, but just like having a thought process about, hey, how are we going to like, yeah, visibility versus recruitment. It's more about, hey, we're here, we exist, this thing is cool, than like, hey, we want more people. Because we got enough apprentices without masters right now. So, I mean, it was just like a thought, and like Crash's commercials would work if we want to like continue thinking about something that people would like. And like, it's more visibility versus like, hey, we want more apprentices sort of thing. We got enough apprentices right now that we don't have people to give to.
Love it.
So if everyone can kind of put on their thinking cap and think about what they may want to do for like a like visibility kind of drive thing, and get back to myself or Anya or Elena, depending on what guild you're in. And I will make a Facebook post that the guild chairpersons have changed for some of the guilds. And then we'll work on getting all of the email fixed after Chaos Wars, because that's not happening today. Does anyone have anything else, like guild businessy wise, that we haven't covered that they wish to speak about? Sita.
Yeah, I think the thing that I was going to mention, going back to what Sven was saying earlier, that the chairperson, which they're a chairperson technically, not a secretary, although the job ends up doing much managerial secretary work, or has historically. But I was going to recommend that if we put that person in that position, which would technically be taking on more work or an expectation of even more communication, perhaps we could open up a couple positions of like assistance to the chair or something like that, where we could encourage either other masters or, better yet, in my opinion, journeymen to step up and assist, which would, one, help share the load, but would also allow them to shadow up and coming council members, to shadow a council member in action and help them get some experience and a little more entrenched in the community management side of our guild, or of the peerage, if that makes sense.
So I'm totally down for that. More help is good. It's a matter of finding that help is, I think, probably going to be the issue. But once we post that we have 3 chair people now, and that we are still looking for an additional 3 people who would like to shadow the chair people so that they can, maybe be chairperson one day or like just want to help out. We can do that. I see no problem with that. More hands is better because then you don't go crazy. Is he being voluntold there?
So something that hasn't necessarily been made official yet because we don't have many people here, but after this meeting I will be posting it on the Facebook, is if Sven is still interested, I am going to propose his name up for replacing Anisha's chair, because I believe we still have a vacancy, correct, in the Artificer Guild.
Oh,
So
you missed that part of the conversation.
oh, I see.
That's why I said we could do it together.
Yeah, so Sven and Elena, I think, are going to take over doing the Artificers Guild together.
Okay.
Anya is going to take over the Chroniclers Guild, and I'm going to stay in Essentials Guild.
Mhm.
And that way we have 3 people, and no one is doing too many things.
Well, I think that's great, and that's ultimately the outcome I was hoping for. Is this not something that needs to be put to the council for a vote?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, yes or
It
no
never-
would be fine.
I don't think it has in the past, to be completely honest.
Well,
Because-
Well, we also, our charter is also only a working document. It was never actually
Nope.
finalized either.
No,
So
it wasn't.
yeah.
Um,
Also, Sita, just so you know, I didn't say, "Hey, it's me." I said Sita and I had discussed it, and we did not come to a conclusion.
And then I
I
volunteered.
don't want you to think that I yanked that away from you.
No. That is not how I feel whatsoever. I just want to make sure that the people who put their time into the council feel like they have a voice, because I don't think that that's going to encourage anybody to come in and vote if they feel like their voice doesn't matter anyway, or that they don't have representation. So just throwing that perspective out there. Like I said, I was going to propose Sven's name anyway, so ultimately this is the outcome I was hoping for. But I think we should keep that in mind.
I think putting that to a vote or asking for a consensus would be excellent.
I mean, we can do that. It's just, I think what happened is the chairperson just sort of like changed hands so many times, and no one really cared because no one else wanted to do it. So like, it went from being Ellie and me to Ellie and Huron to me and Huron to Anish, and then Anish and I, and then just me. And it kind of just like, it's changed hands so many times that like, and never like officially, because stuff just kind of kept happening and people kind of kept disappearing.
Gotcha.
So I mean, I don't mind if it goes to a vote, or like a consensus, like this is what we talked about at our guild meeting. Is everyone okay with this change? Kind of thing.
Ratifying that this was the suggestion at the guild meeting during guild council. Be like, yes, you approve of this change, or no, you have comments, and
Right.
basically
We can totally do that.
And let's be honest,
seeking
I don't think
approval.
that anybody's going to say no because nobody else has stepped up.
If anyone says
Nobody-
no,
Everybody else is going nose goes right now.
if anyone says no, I will illegally cross the border and kick someone in the shins because I'm tired.
But yeah, so going back to the point of nobody's really necessarily cared in the past, it's just switched hands because it's needed to. I think moving forward, again, we're trying to change that attitude, though. We want people to be more invested. We want the council members to be more invested in the choices that are being made.
I'm totally fine with that. I will make a post again, not today, or tomorrow, but probably like Monday in all of the guilds, and go from there.
And
Anya.
also, sorry,
Oh.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, this is okay. Go ahead.
Okay,
Someone
I
raised
was-
their hand. They can go after you.
I was just
was
going to
just
say,
gonna-
if you need any assistance with that, also let me know. I'm happy to help you make posts if you need to. Because I know you've got a lot on your plate with Chaos Wars and all that stuff. So don't feel like you have
Chaos
to be the
Wars
one
is
to do it.
over tomorrow, which I said is why it would happen on Monday.
Cool.
Okay. In that, we have 17 minutes left of this meeting before I have to teach a History of Belagar class. So, Anya, go ahead, and then we're probably going to wrap things up.
I was just going to ask who the council members are because I don't know.
That depends on which
For which
guild.
guild?
And for yours, there are a lot of them, and they don't talk to each other often at all, to be completely honest. I will let you know, and we'll walk through that again, just not today. And I will post, and hopefully they will answer. Hopefully. Creatives, getting a bunch of creatives in a space where you actually need them to like focus on something can be difficult.
I can answer verbally right now. For listed on the Belagarth wiki, we have Sir Anastasia, Sir Kyrian, Sir Beauregard Brutus,
Bo.
more, Bo, Makut Gorlock, Sir Rem, Sir Thurot, and Squire Antoinette
Oh,
are the
that's
council members for. Oh, sorry, that's the Seneschal Guild.
yeah.
Are you in the
Sorry.
right right guild?
Nope, I
Oh.
was in the wrong one. Chroniclers Guild. Let me get pulled up. Okay. Archive, Lady Armstrong, Crinoline, Sir Parr, Antoinette, War Master Cord, Kaleda, and Witch Doctor Kazi are the current council members.
Sorry. It's just really funny to hear that list of people who rarely pay attention to what's going on in the lives of other humans.
Yeah. Well,
So-
and according to that list, there are only 2 people that are currently on the path.
That we're aware of, yes.
Yeah.
I think Crash is supposed to be on that list, but I just don't know who he's apprenticed to.
I haven't been given anybody, and there's really nobody to take me, so I've just kind of been doing, and until things come up.
Okay, we'll figure that out next. Send me a Facebook message, and we'll make sure that happens, even
Yeah.
if I end up taking you myself.
Yeah, because I've just been doing things for the guild and kind of just forging a path until something pops up.
And that's okay. We'll fix that. I don't know how, but we'll fix that. Does anyone have any other topics they wish to bring up before I say we're done?
So these chair people need to be ratified in their respective councils.
Yep.
Also need to be ratified is voting periods and if you do not vote during that time, the abstention. Automated message for applications once we get the voting period ratified. And I have the rest written down in notes.
Okay. Sita, you raised your hand.
Real quick, I know I'm about to open a can of worms right before we wrap up, but I personally would like to see the number of years required to be a master drop from 8 to perhaps 6. I think 8 is excessive. Personally, I would say 6 at most, with the option for the council to vote to say, okay, we're going to waive that requirement. I would also be fine with 5, as David says.
Yeah, I don't know where 8 came from.
From
And
what
I was there when we wrote that.
Yeah, according to Ellie, it was a hard line for some people that were part of the initial discussions. But I don't know that those voices are still around.
No,
And
most of them are not.
yeah.
It's fine. Go ahead.
It is particularly listed that way for the immediate to masterhood applications. It is not listed as a time requirement for the people on the apprenticeship route. And we have already at least once, maybe twice, if you count me. I don't remember what my timeline was in my application or if it was totally accurate. I was pretty close to 8, but I don't think I was at 8. Yzma was under 8, and she was elevated. Leto went the apprenticeship route. So there's precedent for changing that.
Mm.
If
Yeah,
you started, if you started as a vassal and went through the respective time periods that are required for the path, you would only have to be in Belagarth for 3 or 4 years. Year as a vassal, year as an apprentice, year as a journeyman, maybe a little bit more.
I personally don't mind if we change that. That's not a big deal to me. I don't remember who it was a big deal to, so clearly it wasn't that important in my brain. So if we want to talk about changing that, and I think that's going to be a discussion that we're going to have to get all of the guild councils on the same page for, though council membership overlaps in some places. But that's definitely something we can bring up as a topic for discussion within the guilds themselves and see what people think, and then come back to this at the Shannara Collegium event and have another guild meeting and see what people think. Because I think that's something people need to go back and think about a little more than just the 9 minutes we have left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up and put it on the radar since that discussion has mostly happened in the Artificer Council page, and we have other representatives from other guilds here. So just wanted to throw that out there, and yeah, it totally can have a discussion about it on either the joint page or whatever, perhaps even as a side note once the meeting minutes go up, if anybody is going to be posting meeting minutes. That's all. Thanks.
I mean, we're going to be posting a full recording. This recording will probably go, I will probably give Crash access. Sorry, we got a dude in Thunderguard named Trash. Access, so this one can go up on the guild YouTube, where all of the rest of the classes will get uploaded to the Chaos YouTube.
And Sita, I don't believe you had joined in yet, but to make it more streamlined, the library stuff is going to be going through. I'm going to be handling the updating of the library on the Get-In, along with the guild channel, the YouTube channel I made. So we're going to be starting to do that more.
Cool, awesome. Well, thank you for your efforts and your labor in that.
Yeah,
Right.
I just created the thing on Get-In. That's just Bell Librarian.
Cool.
So do we have any other very 6-8 minutes-ish topics of conversation, or are we good? Think we're good? All right. Thank you for everyone who showed up. We will get respective guild chair people ratified and posted on Monday because it's just not happening today or tomorrow. And then we will go from there, and we will probably have another. Whether or not Oktoberfest actually happens in person, I don't know. I will not be going, even if it does. So should someone want to hold a guild meeting at Oktoberfest, that's totally fine. I don't know what's going to happen because most of us are out west and not in the Midwest. And from there, we'll definitely have an online one at the Collegium for Shannara, so long as that's okay, with its event coordinator, who's nodding at me, so cool. And then Bifter will be the next event, whether that's in person or online, depending on COVID and the Delta variant and what have you. So we'll make a plan for at least another online meeting, which we will post more thoroughly. Chaos Wars did a bad job about posting when stuff was happening this year. EBF is having a mare of a week, so sorry. But yeah, all right. I will talk to everyone next time. Thank you all for coming.